Are you ready, or? At the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio, one of the biggest controversies had nothing to do with sports. A reporter for the Daily Beast used the location-based gay hookup app Grindr to interact with athletes in the village. He misled people about his identity, and he inadvertently outed athletes. The resulting fiasco of his story was completely retracted within 24 hours. The dust-up was only the most recent appearance of dating apps like Grindr, Scruff, Bumble, and Tinder in the headlines. And for good reason. If you're looking to date, hook up, or just scope out some nearby cuties, you likely have one of these apps broadcasting from your pocket right now. Grindr has 5 to 6 million monthly active users in 196 countries. And on Tinder, people are swiping left and right 1.4 billion times a day. We now take it for granted that we could compare an endless matrix of paramours on our phones. But what does this mean for the future of human connection? And where did this idea come from anyway? I remember first playing Hot or Not in the 7th or 8th grade. There was a kind of juvenile thrill to rating photos of complete strangers with a 1 through 10. This is something we all do to each other every day, but turning it into a game like that made it transgressive and fun. Sometimes the excitement of clicking through image after image felt almost addictive. When hotornot.com was founded in 2000, its full name was Am I Hot or Not, reflecting the need for users to upload their own photos for consideration. Creators James Hong and Jim Young dropped that first bit after the site exploded in popularity. But that am I, with its mixture of judgment, longing, and personal insecurity, is really more truthful. The site asks that users keep it fun, clean, and real. That last part, the knowledge that these judgments were about real people, made it even more exciting. Within a day of launch, amihotornot.com had over 150,000 page views. Within 8 days, it had 1.8 million. A month after launch, hotornot.com was one of the top 25 advertising domains on the web. You may not have thought of Hot or Not since middle school, but if you're at all involved in the world of modern digital desire, it's very much shaping how you think. While Hot or Not faded by the end of the 2000s, its philosophy shone through many of the era's top digital products. The founders of YouTube have said that a first draft of their site was essentially a Hot or Not, but for video. An early version of Facebook called FaceMash also invoked the power of comparison. Mark Zuckerberg invited his classmates at Harvard to rank each other Hot or Not style in side-by-side photographs. Of course, Facebook has grown into much more than that. But at its heart, Facebook still encourages the same kind of comparison, just expanding the concept from faces to entire lives. The Hot or Not model most clearly dominates the world of dating and hookup apps. Meeting people for romance and sex obviously existed before 2000 on the internet. AOL chat rooms were rife with ASL requests.
That's how I met my new kayaking buddies.
Plenty of sites like OkCupid and eHarmony matchmake using personality quizzes and algorithms.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking about cats again.
But those kind of old school dating solutions are not hot. What's hot? Location-based, image-focused catalogs. Gays were pioneers in this space. The introduction of Grindr in 2009 represented a sea change in the way gay and bi men relate to each other. Joel Simkai's grid of faces, or more often torsos, took smartphone tech, Hot or Not style comparison, and age-old horniness, merging them to a brilliant product. It was a virtual gay bar with no cover charge. Similar apps followed. Scruff, Jacked, Hornet, Mister, all of these provided different kinds of connections. Tinder, with its swiping right or left in direct homage to Hot or Not, carried the easy-breezy concept into straight and other communities, causing what some critics have called the dating apocalypse. In fact, Tinder takes rankings so seriously that each user has an internal score measuring their desirability. This number is generated by a complex algorithm taking in many factors, but making yourself look hot enough to get that right swipe is crucial. Progeny aside, Grindr's endless scrolling matrix of possibility remains the pioneer. And not just for getting neighbors laid. Users spend the majority of their time in the app scrolling through photos and deciding who's hot enough to talk to in the first place. And of course, worrying over how hot or not they are themselves. On Grindr, on Tinder, on Instagram, a whole generation of daters have been trained to think of themselves as objects for visual consumption. We're digital products with marketing plans packaged perfectly to attract the highest possible rating from strangers. Smile or scowl, armpit or dimples, Speedos or Snuggie. The Hot or Not revolution has turned us all into amateur photographers, lighting designers, copywriters, and photo editors, all in the service of finding a connection. Did playing that deceptively simple game more than a decade ago doom us all to a future of cold, calculated calculated couplings, romantics won't care for this vision. Ask someone who was single in the pre-app era how much they enjoyed trawling bars for companionship. It's also worth noting that there's real value to broadening the pool for potential matches. These apps have the power to expand the range of potential matches across demographics. Grindr, Tinder, and all the rest make it easier to look past the types and spaces that have become habit. On top of comparison and rating, many people who use them regularly have stories of a connection that went nowhere romantically but turned into an unexpected friendship. And many of these apps are already engaging in projects that go beyond sex for the betterment of their communities. Grindr has already participated in geo-based Get Out the Vote efforts, and STI education and prevention is increasingly built into some of these apps. Hey, just as human beings are more than their sexual urges, these apps are going to grow out of their animal origins. No matter how human beings connect, whether through a 19th century letter, the telephone, a singles bar, or one of these apps, the end result is minds and bodies connecting in unpredictable and fascinating ways. And no matter how it happens, that's definitely hot.